Hello everyone, welcome to this week's episode of Wehry Weekly History and Entertainment News. The 4th of July is coming up very soon, and this year's 4th of July is shaping up to be much different than last year's. With many COVID restrictions lessened, people can now be out and about, and concerts and festivities will be more common. However, some rules must still be followed. I'll also be talking about a new art exhibit opening up and one local athlete's quest to make this year's Olympics. First, it's time for this week's trivia question, which will be answered at the end of an update on the Tanglewood season. This week's question is, when was the first Boston Pops 4th of July Spectacular? Now, for this week's local entertainment headlines. Massachusetts is now almost fully reopened, and masks are only recommended, no longer required, for those who have had the vaccine. Here in Berkshire County, the state of emergency was lifted, and now city government meetings can be held in person. However, this varies from city to city and town to town, so call your local government to make sure. The state of Massachusetts also announced $3.2 million in grants and contracts to community-based organizations. This is part of the Massachusetts Vaccine Equity Initiative to increase awareness and access to the COVID-19 vaccine in the 20 cities and towns that were hit the hardest by the pandemic. This is part of the Baker administration's investment of $27.4 million of federal funds announced in March. These funds will be distributed to select community and faith-based organizations statewide. They aim to reduce barriers to vaccination for communities and populations most disproportionately impacted by COVID-19. Following guidance from the Tri-Town Health Department, the state of Massachusetts, and the CDC, Tanglewood has announced plans for audience members for 2021. There will be 3 feet of separation, not 6 as before, between ticket holders seated in the Kuzovitsky Music Shed for all Boston Symphony Orchestra related performances. Masks are required for those who have not been vaccinated, but those who are have an option of either wearing a mask or not. Regulations from the local health board currently limits total attendance to 9,000 people in total. This creates some problems for certain shows, which I'll be talking about later. For the July 9th through August 6th Boston Symphony Orchestra and Boston Pop season, up to 2,400 audience members can be seated in the shed. Additionally, there will be room for up to 6,000 patrons on the outside lawn. In a statement he gave to the Berkshire Eagle, outgoing musical director Mark Volpe stated, quote, "All of us at the BSO are delighted that we are returning to live performances at Tanglewood this summer, and are celebrating a new chapter that points to a post-pandemic world, where we can take part in our most treasured life experiences for the first time since March 2020, end quote. One of the events that will be held this year at Tanglewood will be a viewing of the Boston Pops 4th of July Spectacular, which is going to be shown live from the Boston Esplanade. Boston Pops conductor Keith Lockhart will be leading patriotic favorites. with guest appearances by John Batiste, a band leader who just won an Oscar for his scoring of the Pixar movie Soul, and gospel singer Mavis Staples. Tickets to watch this at the Tanglewood are free, but they will be giving priority guest invitations to veterans and other members of the military, first responders, healthcare workers, and certain community groups. They will be limited for everyone else to 4 tickets per household and are available first come, first served. They can be purchased online starting at 10 a.m. on June 21st at tanglewood.org/July 4. Tanglewood and the Boston Pops also brings us the answer to this week's trivia question. As a reminder, this week's question was, when was the first Boston Pops 4th of July Spectacular? The answer is 1929. That year, Arthur Fielder, a future conductor of the Pops, believed that if things such as books and art could be viewed for free, why couldn't an orchestra performance? Fielder, who was also a violinist for the Pops at the time, set about raising funds to bring his idea to fruition. After 2 years, on July 4th, 1929, the first free Esplanade concert was performed at the specially constructed acoustic shell along the banks of the Charles River in Boston. That year, the orchestra was composed of roughly half the musicians of the Boston Symphony. However, the fireworks spectacular did not come into fruition in full until 1974. That year, local businessman David Mugar, who was friends with the Boston Symphony Orchestra, helped add the cannons and fireworks that make the show the spectacular event that it is today. It has been held every year since, except for last year, due to the pandemic. Not all news was good news regarding Tanglewood, however. Popular artist James Taylor has announced that he is canceling his concert for 2021. This marks the second consecutive year that Taylor will not be performing. In this case, this is because of an issue with the number of tickets being sold. As stated earlier on WWHEN, this year, Tanglewood has a capacity limit of 9,000 patrons. However, over 15,000 tickets had been sold for the event, which left it far over capacity. In a PR release on his website, Taylor said, quote, "I'm disappointed and frustrated to have to announce the postponement of my August 31st concert on Tanglewood. At this point, trying to organize the displacement of over 6,000 ticket holders is an impossible task. Who loses their seat, and how do we accommodate them?" End quote. Tickets that were purchased for the original concert date, which was July 4th, 2020, will now be honored on July 4th, 2022. Ticket buyers are encouraged to hold on to their tickets. If you prefer a refund, however, that is fine, or you can donate them back to Tanglewood for someone who would really like to see the show. With the cancellation of the James Taylor concert, the cancellation of the Pittsfield 4th of July parade, and the unknown status of North Adams 4th of July parade, there will be slightly fewer 4th events happening this year. However, there are still plenty of options for Berkshire County. And one of the most popular things to do is see a baseball game. First, the Pittsfield Suns will be playing the Nashua Silver Knights in a Futures League game on July 4th. The game starts at approximately 6:35 p.m. and masks must be worn at all times for the non-vaccinated. There will also be fireworks after the game, weather permitting. A rain date has not yet been determined. Tickets for the July 4th game will cost $14 for box seats and $7 for bleacher seats. In addition, if you would like to hear a more nostalgic history of Wahconah Park, you can watch last year's WWHEN 4th of July episode. The episode of interest on YouTube is titled 6/24/20 Wehry Weekly History and Entertainment News. As for the North Adams Steeplecats, they will be squaring off against the Vermont Mountaineers at 6 o'clock p.m. on the 4th. Again, masks are required at all times for the non-vaccinated, and there will be fireworks after the game, weather permitting. North Adams still has not made a decision on their 4th of July festivities, so this may be one of the only opportunities in North Adams that someone has to see fireworks. Tickets cost $5 and can be bought on their website. In some more baseball news, the Futures League, where the Pittsfield Suns play, have announced a partnership with the New England Sports Network, or NESN, to air Future League Saturdays on NESN. Every team in the Futures League will be highlighted at least once for the summer on the cable network, home of the Boston Red Sox. This is the second year of the event. In a press release, Futures League Commissioner Joe Palucci stated, quote, "The Futures League is excited to continue our relationship with NESN for another year, showcasing our great brand of baseball to a regional television audience. Last year's games were a great success, and we can't wait to give our players the opportunity to compete on such a well-known stage in New England once again," end quote. The Pittsfield Suns will be one of the first teams highlighted. Their game that will be showcased will be against the Worcester Bravehearts in Worcester on July 10th at 6:30 p.m. NESN can be found on Channel 54 on Spectrum TV in Berkshire County. If you do not have Spectrum TV, visit nesn.com or call your local television provider to see what other channel you can watch the game on. Pittsfield may not be holding a 4th of July parade this year, but in some positive news, their third Thursdays are returning. Last year, these were canceled due to the pandemic, but they have undergone a slow reopening. For instance, in both May and June, the Office of Cultural Development held virtual STEM events for their opening third Thursday. In a statement, Vice President of General Dynamics Mission Systems Paul Dalton, who helped run the event, stated, quote, "General Dynamics Mission Systems is committed to advancing STEM education and inspiring the next generation of students to continue to push the bounds of innovation. A team of engineers developed Camp GD, a virtual platform to introduce students of all ages to incredible STEM experiences from their own homes. Partnering with the city of Pittsfield's Third Thursday gives us an opportunity to reach students throughout the Berkshires," end quote. As COVID-19 rules and restrictions are starting to lessen, in-person Third Thursdays may start happening on July 20th. However, nothing has been confirmed yet. stay tuned to WWHEN for more information, or visit the website shown here for all updates. Because of the pandemic last year, many athletic events were moved about, locally, nationally, and internationally. One of the biggest ones happening this year is the 2020 Olympic Games in Tokyo, Japan. For the record, it will still be called the 2020 Games. Over the next few weeks, one Berkshire County native will have the chance to make the track team. Shannon Meisberger is a track athlete who runs the 400-meter hurdles. A Lenox native, she graduated from Lenox Memorial High School in 2017. She attended the University of Georgetown in Washington, D.C. for 1 year before transferring to the University of Arizona on a track scholarship. A few weeks ago, Meisberger finished second at the NCAA Division I Outdoor Finals, running a personal best time of 55.70 seconds, only behind defending champion Anna Cockrell of the University of Southern California. This accomplishment has earned Meisberger first team All-American honors. But more importantly, she met the qualifying standard for the Olympic team. In order for runners to even qualify for the trials, 400-meter hurdlers must record a time faster than 56.50 seconds in a sanctioned event, like the NCAA Finals, and Meisberger has accomplished that. In an interview with the Berkshire Eagle, her former high school coach, Gene Tisdale, said, quote, "One thing about Shannon, she's got so much confidence. That's why she's been able to do what she's done. She's got that, oh, I can do this mentality, and it's really fantastic," end quote. The trials for the 400-meter hurdlers were held on Saturday, June 26th. Unfortunately, the final results of the trials were held after this episode went to press. And so WWHEN cannot confirm if Meisberger has made the team. Check the United States Track and Field's website at usatf.org for all the results. WWHEN wishes Shannon Meisberger the best of luck in her future track and field endeavors. Artist James Terrell is one of the major suppliers of art at Mass MoCA. Some of his works include Into the Light, an interactive display of light, sound, and touch, where visitors can see how their bodies affect light and vice versa. He will now be opening several new exhibits, both in North Adams and the Hancock Shaker Village in Pittsfield. The first of these is Sky Spaces, Cavu. This is his largest freestanding circular piece to date, at 40 feet in diameter and 40 feet high, with a capacity for 70 viewers. Cavu, which stands for Ceiling and Visibility Unlimited, is one of his most anticipated works since Terrell started displaying at Mass MoCA. This will join his 25-year retrospective at the museum as well. The other new exhibit is Lapsed Quaker Wear. This deals with artwork that is designed by those who are former or lapsed Quakers, a religious group, like Terrell is. When discussing how he built the artwork, Terrell said in an interview with the Berkshire Eagle, quote, "It isn't easy to make these. If the clay is too dry, there are all sorts of scratches on the finished product. If it's too wet, the clay drags and pulls. And then when you fire it, if it's not fired enough, they turn gray, end quote. Despite the challenges Terrell faced, Lap's Quakerware might be one of his most interesting pieces of works to date. Sky Spaces is located at Mass MoCA, while the Quakerware pieces are located both at Mass MoCA and at the Hancock Sacred Village in Pittsfield. For Mass MoCA, tickets cost $20 for adults, $18 for seniors and military, $12 for students, $8 for ages 5 through 16, and are free for children under 5 and members of Mass MoCA. For the Hancock Sacred Village, tickets cost $20 for adults, $18 for seniors, AAA members, and military, $8 for children ages 13 through 17, and are free for children under 12 or members of the Hancock Sacred Village. Visit massmoca.org or hancocksacredvillage.org to purchase tickets. It's now time for this week's movie segment on WWHEN. And this week we'll be talking about RT's favorite films. With kids out of school, now's a great time to watch a family film. One of my favorite animated films of all time is 2018's Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse. In this movie, we meet Miles Morales, an average teen. Like all Spider-Men and women, he was bitten by a radioactive spider and received special powers. However, his spider was different. After he was bit, a portal opened, bringing in several different versions of Spider-Man and women from the comic book's long history. Together, these Spider-Man and women must work as a team to close the portal, get back to their worlds, and defeat the villainous Kingpin. Miles must also take a leap of faith and learn to embrace his powers. The film earned over $108 million at the box office in the United States alone, and was critically acclaimed, earning the Academy Award for Best Animated Film at the 91st Oscars. So why do I love this movie? First of all, the animation in this movie is amazing. The creators of this movie wanted Spiderverse to feel like a comic book brought to life, and they definitely delivered on that. Another major plus to this movie is the voice work. Every character feels real, from Shamik Moore's Miles Morales to Jake Johnson's alternate world Spider-Man to Nicolas Cage's Spider-Noir. These characters may be cartoons, but they're all fleshed out. Also, there are plenty of references to all previous Spider-Man works in every era. Fans of the different Spider-Man films and comics will have fun noticing the shoutouts. Animated films sometimes get a reputation for being made just for kids. Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse blows that theory out of the water. Yes, there are some kid-friendly moments, but this is one of those movies that is great for all ages. This movie is currently available for streaming on Disney Plus and Hulu, and is on demand on the Fox Movie Network. That ends this week's 4th of July episode of Wehry Weekly History and Entertainment News. If you would like to watch this or any other WWHEN episode again, you can watch PCTV, CTSB TV, and NBCTC's websites shown here. Also, if you would like to see the episodes in HD quality, make sure to check out my YouTube page at RT Wehry. Thank you, and have a happy 4th of July.